the cave. So this is definitely written in the cave of Adullam. And here's what David begins with. I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication. I poured out my complaint before him. I showed before him my trouble. Can I just tell you, you don't have to fake God out. You don't have to pretend to be religious. You don't have to pretend that you're strong. You don't have to pretend that you've got your act all together. There's something so powerful about just being honest with God and saying, Jesus, I am on my face right now. I can't even get up right now. Life has knocked me down right now. And God, I just need to tell you that I'm not happy with the way my life is right now. David said, I poured out my complaint before him. You might as well pour out your complaint before God. He already knows exactly what you're thinking anyway. So you can talk real religious for all of us, and we might actually be impressed. But God knows inside you are grinding your teeth and muttering under your breath, and you are complaining 100 times a minute. God knows. So you might as well be honest, because there's something so powerful about just pouring out everything that's in your heart before God. Don't make the mistake of pouring out your heart to people that could turn around and use it against you. Pour out your heart to God. Don't make the mistake of pouring out your heart to people that are cynical, and they'll basically look back at you and say, well, if that's what your God allows, then you shouldn't believe in that God. Don't do that. Pour out your complaint to the Lord. Pour out your trouble to the Lord. Pour out what you're going through to the Lord. Imagine David in that cave with all of those men, and they all have their own problems. They're depressed, and they're in debt, and they're discontent. It's just awful, everything that's going on in that group. And in front of them all, David just pours out his complaint. He tells God exactly what he feels. But here's the secret, brothers and sisters. After he does that, he doesn't stay there. That's the thing. Some people, they want to complain for years and years and years and years. They get into a rut of just talking about their problems all the time. Pour your problems out to God. Pour your hang-ups. Pour your mistakes out to God. But when you get done pouring it out to God, get ready to move on to the next step, because there's a next step that propels you out of where you are. In the next psalm that David writes, it's Psalm 57, we see David not anymore on his face, but he's on his knees. He's praying. This psalm, the introduction in the King James Bible says, to the chief musician, a miktam of David, when he fled from Saul in the cave. Again, he's in the cave of Adullam. But look what he does. Notice the change. Be merciful unto me, O God. Be merciful unto me. For my soul trusteth in thee. Yea, in the shadow of thy wings will I make my refuge until these calamities be overpassed. I will cry unto God Most High, unto God that performeth all things for me. Do you see the change? In the first psalm that he writes, he's just laying prostrate before the Lord. And he is just saying, God, I've got all these issues and all these challenges. And he's pouring out his complaint. But now he's going to do something about it. Do you know what he's doing in Psalm 57? He's repenting. God, it was my mistake. It was my wrong turn. It was my mess up that got me into this situation. God, it's been my doubt. God, it's been my depression. God, it's been my despair that created a lot of this. And so he begins to pray for mercy. God, be merciful to me. My soul trusts in you. I can't trust in everybody else or everything else, but one thing I do know, I can trust in the Lord. And so God, I'm praying that although I made the mistake and although I messed it up, I'm just praying for the one thing that can help me get out of this. I'm praying for your mercy. Do you know what God's mercy is? God's mercy is when he doesn't give us what we deserve. We deserve an eternity apart from God. We deserve the judgment of God. We deserve the displeasure of God. But look what we've got this morning. The smile of God on our lives, the blessing of God on our families, the presence of God in our midst. We deserve something entirely different. But today we walk in here in mercy. You remember David also wrote, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You can't see them, but I got two bodyguards today. Goodness and mercy. They follow me everywhere I go. They're with me in the morning and the evening. They're with me in the good days and the bad days. Goodness and mercy follow me. Oh, my goodness. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. I wish you'd lift up your hand and your voice and just thank God for His mercy. Without mercy, none of us would be here. Without mercy, none of us could make it. Without mercy, none of us could survive. But we've got God's mercy. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Yes, God. And they David prays to God, and he said, my soul trusts in you. In the shadow of thy wings will I make my refuge until these calamities be overpassed. Do you see the difference? In the first psalm, David's just pouring out all of his complaints to God. He's depressed. He's anxious. He's fearful. He's just pouring it all out before God. That's good. But if that's all you ever do, you've got to move on to this. David said, I'm trusting in you, God, because I know this is going to pass. This is going to be over. Somewhere, somehow, someday. David got a hold of the spirit of Job. You remember what Job said in his trial and in his trouble? Job said, when he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Here's what